Taurus, I just sat down with my cards, and the energy that came through for you today is absolutely fascinating. I have to share this with you because what I am seeing about this person who thought they had some kind of control over you is just mind-blowing. You know how sometimes you get that feeling that someone in your life thinks they can push your buttons or manipulate situations to their advantage? Well, I pulled some cards about that exact energy, and what came through is showing me someone who is literally going through their own spiritual reckoning right now. Let me start with what Spirit showed me first. I shuffled my deck asking about this person's current state, and the card that practically jumped out at me was the Three of Pentacles reversed. Now this is interesting because normally Three of Pentacles is about teamwork and collaboration. But reversed, it is showing me someone whose relationships and partnerships are falling apart. This person who thought they had control over you is discovering that their approach to relationships was fundamentally flawed. The Three of Pentacles reversed is telling me that they are facing conflicts with multiple people in their life right now. Not just you, but friends, family members, colleagues, maybe even business partners. It is like their whole support system is crumbling because people are finally seeing their true colors. What is really fascinating about this card is that it represents the breakdown of cooperative energy. This person thought they could manipulate and control without consequences, but the Three of Pentacles reverse shows that their toxic behavior is creating discord everywhere they turn. They are learning that you cannot build anything lasting when your foundation is based on control and manipulation. I am seeing this person sitting alone, maybe looking at their phone and realizing that people are not responding to their messages the same way anymore. The collaborative spirit that the Three of Pentacles represents is completely absent from their life right now. They pushed away genuine connections because they preferred power dynamics over authentic relationships. The reversed energy here is also showing me someone who is struggling with their reputation. Other people are starting to talk, starting to share their own experiences with this person, and a pattern is emerging. What they thought was secret manipulation is becoming very public, very quickly. But what really strikes me about this Three of Pentacles reversed is that it represents someone who is finally understanding that they need other people, but they destroyed those relationships through their controlling behavior. They are experiencing isolation as a direct result of their actions toward you and others. The next card that came through was the Queen of Swords reversed, and this is showing me the mental and emotional state this person is in right now. The Queen of Swords upright represents clear thinking, honest communication, and emotional maturity. Reversed, it shows me someone whose thoughts are scattered, whose communication has become defensive and harsh, and who is struggling with emotional regulation. This person is in a really chaotic headspace right now. The Queen of Swords reversed indicates that they are second-guessing everything, replaying conversations in their mind, and probably lashing out at people when they feel cornered. Their mental clarity is completely compromised because they are dealing with the cognitive dissonance of knowing they messed up, but not wanting to admit it. I am getting such clear images of this person lying awake at night, their mind racing with thoughts about what they should have done differently. But the Queen of Swords reversed also shows me that they are not being honest with themselves yet. They are still trying to rationalize their behavior, still trying to find ways to blame others for the consequences of their actions. The sword that the Queen of Swords holds represents truth and mental clarity. Reversed, this person cannot access their own inner truth right now. They know something is wrong, they can feel that their life is falling apart, but they cannot clearly see their own role in creating this chaos. What is particularly interesting is that the Queen of Swords, reversed, often indicates someone who is becoming bitter and resentful when things do not go their way. This person might be angry at you for not tolerating their controlling behavior. They might be angry at other people for finally setting boundaries. They are experiencing the consequences of their actions, but struggling to take responsibility. The third card that Spirit wanted me to share with you is the Hermit, but not in the way you might expect. This card is showing me that this person is being forced into a period of isolation and self-reflection, but they are fighting it every step of the way. The Hermit represents the need to go within, to examine your own behavior and motivations with brutal honesty. This person is experiencing Hermit energy whether they want to or not. Their social circle is shrinking, their support system is pulling away, and they are finding themselves alone with their thoughts more and more. But unlike someone who chooses the Hermit path for spiritual growth, this person is being pushed into solitude by the consequences of their actions. I can see this person trying to fill the silence with distractions, with busy work, with anything that will keep them from having to face themselves. But the Hermit energy is persistent. The universe is creating space for them to examine their patterns, their wounds, their need to control others instead of working on themselves. The lantern that the Hermit carries represents inner guidance and wisdom. For this person, that lantern is dim right now because they are still resistant to looking at themselves honestly. But the light is there, waiting for them to choose introspection over defensiveness. What I find really powerful about the Hermit appearing in this reading is that it represents the path to redemption if this person chooses to take it. The isolation they are experiencing is not punishment. It is an opportunity. It is space for them to understand why they felt the need to control you and others, and to develop healthier ways of relating to people. The fourth card that came through was the Eight of Cups, and this is showing me that this person is finally starting to realize that they need to walk away from old patterns and behaviors that are not serving them. The Eight of Cups represents the emotional journey of leaving behind what is familiar but toxic, in search of something more authentic and fulfilling. I can see this person looking at their life and finally acknowledging that their approach to relationships has not been working. The Eight Cups stacked behind the figure in this card represent all the emotional investments they made in control and manipulation, and they are finally ready to walk away from those strategies. This is actually a really positive development, even though it probably does not feel good for them right now. The Eight of Cups requires courage, because it means admitting that you have been wrong about some fundamental things. It means being willing to feel lost for a while as you search for a better way of being. What I am seeing with this card is someone who is finally starting to understand that controlling others is actually a sign of being out of control within themselves. The journey represented by the Eight of Cups is about finding internal stability instead of trying to create external stability through manipulation. The mountains in the background of the Eight of Cups represent the challenges that lie ahead for this person. Learning new ways of relating, developing genuine self-esteem, and building authentic connections is hard work. But the card shows that they are finally ready to begin that journey. Now, the fifth card really surprised me. I pulled the Two of Swords, which represents someone who is stuck in indecision and mental conflict. This person is at a crossroads right now. Part of them wants to reach out and try to make amends, and part of them is still too proud to admit they were wrong. The Two of Swords shows me someone sitting blindfolded, holding two swords in a defensive position. This is exactly where this person is emotionally right now. They are defending themselves against the truth while simultaneously trying to figure out how to move forward. The blindfold represents their inability to see the situation clearly because their ego is still very much involved. I can feel this person going back and forth in their mind. One day they think about apologizing to you, and the next day they convince themselves that you were too sensitive or that you overreacted. The Two of Swords represents this internal battle between their higher self that knows they need to make amends and their ego that does not want to admit wrongdoing. The water behind the figure in the Two of Swords represents emotions and intuition. Even though this person is trying to approach the situation from a purely mental place, their emotions are still very much present. They feel guilty, they feel regret, but they also feel defensive and misunderstood. What is interesting about the Two of Swords is that it represents a temporary state. Eventually, this person will have to make a decision. They cannot stay in this mental limbo forever. The swords will have to be lowered, the blindfold will have to come off, and they will have to choose a path forward. The sixth card that Spirit wanted to show me was the Page of Cups reversed, And this is really illuminating because it represents emotional immaturity and the inability to express feelings in healthy ways. This person is struggling with emotional regulation right now, and their attempts to process what happened between you two are coming from a very immature place. The Page of Cups upright represents emotional openness, creativity, and the beginning of emotional growth. Reversed, it shows me someone whose emotional responses are unpredictable and sometimes inappropriate. This person might be having emotional outbursts, might be reaching out to mutual friends with their version of events, or might be engaging in other emotionally reactive behaviors. What really stands out to me about the Page of Cups reversed is that it represents someone who wants to feel better, but does not want to do the emotional work required to actually heal. They want the quick fix, the easy apology that makes everything go back to normal, but they are not willing to examine their own emotional patterns. This card is also showing me someone whose intuition is blocked right now. The Page of Cups is usually very connected to emotional wisdom and inner knowing, but reversed, this person cannot access their own emotional truth. They are too caught up in defending their actions to actually feel into what they did and how it affected you. The seventh card brought through some really interesting energy. I pulled the Nine of Wands reversed, which represents someone whose defenses are finally starting to come down. The Nine of Wands upright shows someone who has been through battles and is ready for whatever comes next. Reversed, it shows someone whose defenses are crumbling and who is feeling vulnerable and exposed. This person spent so much energy trying to control you and others that they are emotionally and mentally exhausted now. The Nine of Wands reversed indicates that they do not have the energy to keep up the facade anymore. Their walls are coming down not because they choose vulnerability, but because they are too tired to maintain their defensive position. I can see this person feeling raw and exposed right now. All the energy they put into manipulation and control has left them depleted. The reversed Nine of Wands shows someone who is finally dropping their guard because they simply do not have the strength to keep it up anymore. This is actually a crucial moment for this person because vulnerability is a prerequisite for genuine change. As long as they were defended and convinced of their own righteousness, there was no room for growth. But the Nine of Wands reversed creates space for them to finally feel the impact of their actions. The eighth card that came through was the King of Cups reversed. And this is showing me how this person's emotional leadership and maturity has been compromised. The King of Cups upright represents emotional balance, compassion, and the ability to remain calm in emotional situations. Reversed, it shows someone whose emotions are ruling them instead of the other way around. This person is discovering that they do not actually have the emotional skills they thought they had. They believed they were sophisticated in their understanding of people and relationships, but the King of Cups reversed reveals that their emotional intelligence was actually quite limited. They knew how to manipulate emotions, but they did not know how to genuinely connect with them. I am seeing someone who is having emotional reactions that surprise even them. Maybe they find themselves crying unexpectedly or getting angry in situations that would not have bothered them before. The King of Cups reversed indicates that their emotional regulation system is offline right now. What is particularly relevant about this card is that the King of Cups represents someone who is supposed to be a leader in emotional matters, someone others look to for stability and wisdom. But reversed, this person is realizing that their emotional foundation was built on control rather than genuine understanding. The ninth card really caught my attention because it was the Four of Swords reversed. This card typically represents rest and meditation, but reversed it shows me someone who cannot find peace, no matter what they try. Their mind is restless, their thoughts are chaotic, and they cannot settle into any kind of mental stillness. This person is probably trying different things to find peace right now. Maybe they are meditating, maybe they are exercising more, maybe they are trying therapy or other healing modalities, but the Four of Swords reversed indicates that their internal chaos is too strong right now for any of these methods to be fully effective. What I find really interesting is that this card suggests this person knows they need to find inner peace, and they are actively seeking it. This is different from just being chaotic and not caring about it. The Four of Swords reversed shows someone who recognizes that their mental state is not healthy and who is trying to do something about it. But the reversed energy indicates that they are approaching healing from the wrong angle. They want the symptoms to go away without addressing the root cause. They want to feel better without actually changing their behavior or taking responsibility for their actions. The 10th card that Spirit wanted me to share with you is the Six of Pentacles reversed, and this really speaks to how this person's sense of fairness and reciprocity has been distorted. The Six of Pentacles upright is about balanced giving and receiving, about fairness in exchanges, about understanding that healthy relationships require mutual respect and support. Reversed, this card shows me someone who has been operating from a place of imbalanced exchange. They expected to receive loyalty, understanding, and accommodation from you without giving the same in return. They thought relationships were about power dynamics rather than mutual support. Now they are experiencing what it feels like to be on the receiving end of that imbalance. People are not giving them the benefit of the doubt anymore. People are not extending themselves to help them or support them. They are learning what it feels like when the scales are tipped against you. The Six of Pentacles reversed also indicates that this person is struggling with issues around worth and value. They are questioning whether they deserve forgiveness, whether they deserve another chance, whether they deserve to be loved despite their behavior. This internal questioning is actually a sign of growth, even though it feels uncomfortable. For the final card, Spirit brought through the Star reversed, which represents someone who has lost hope and faith in themselves and in the possibility of redemption. The Star upright is about hope, healing, and spiritual guidance. Reversed, it shows someone who feels disconnected from their own inner light and from any sense of divine support. This person is going through what spiritual teachers call the dark night of the soul. They are questioning everything they thought they knew about themselves and their relationships. The Star reversed indicates that they feel lost, hopeless, and uncertain about whether they can ever make things right. But here is what I want you to understand about the Star reversed, Taurus. This card often appears right before a major spiritual breakthrough. Sometimes we have to completely lose faith in our old ways of being before we can open to something new and better. This person's despair might actually be the beginning of their transformation. The Star reversed also indicates that this person's connection to their intuition and inner wisdom has been severed. They cannot trust their own judgment right now because they are finally seeing how flawed it has been. This creates a kind of spiritual crisis that is necessary for genuine change. What I am seeing with all these cards together is someone who is going through a complete dismantling of their old way of being in relationships. The conflicts they are facing, the isolation they are experiencing, the emotional chaos they are dealing with, all of it is serving a higher purpose. The universe is breaking down their old patterns so that something healthier can emerge. But Taurus, here is what I want you to understand. This person's spiritual crisis is not your responsibility. Their need for cleansing and transformation is their journey to walk. You do not owe them patience while they figure themselves out. You do not owe them forgiveness just because they are finally learning their lessons. The energy I am getting is that this person will eventually find their way to genuine remorse, and possibly even to making amends. But that process could take months or even years. Your job is not to wait for them to get their act together. Your job is to honor your own boundaries, to trust your own wisdom, and to continue growing into the amazing person you are meant to be. What I find really beautiful about this reading is that it shows the universe working in perfect balance. This person tried to control you, tried to manipulate your energy for their own purposes, and now they are experiencing what it feels like to have no control at all. They are learning that trying to control others actually leads to losing control of your own life. The cleansing they are seeking is real, Taurus. The conflicts they are facing are real. The spiritual reckoning they are going through is real. But all of that is happening in service of their own growth and evolution. not as some kind of cosmic punishment. If this person eventually does reach out to you with genuine remorse and a real understanding of how they affected you, you will know. The energy will feel completely different. There will be no manipulation, no attempts to minimize their behavior, no expectations that you should just forgive and forget. But until that time comes, if it ever does, your focus should be on yourself. You have been freed from someone who was trying to dim your light, and that freedom is a gift. Use it to shine even brighter, to grow even stronger, to become even more aligned with your own truth. The cards are showing me that your energy is protected right now. The universe sees what this person tried to do to you, and cosmic justice is already in motion. You do not have to do anything to make them face consequences. You do not have to expose them or get revenge. The natural law of cause and effect is handling everything perfectly. I hope this reading brings you some peace and clarity, beautiful Taurus. The person who thought they could control you is learning that the only person we can truly control is ourselves. And you are free to continue becoming the magnificent person you were always meant to be. If you resonated with this energy, I would love to hear about it in the comments. Sometimes the universe speaks through tarot in ways that just hit different. And this was definitely one of those readings for me.